line and would like to request Sadhguru to address a few. We begin with the first question that came from Dr. Swatantra from Kashi. What is Sanatan Dharma?
Jaya 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 Mahadeva, Jaya 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 Mahadeva, Shiva Shankar Adi Anant, Shiva Shankar Adi Anant, Jaya Jaya Jaya, Jaya Jaya, Jaya Jaya, Jaya 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 Mahadeva, Jaya 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 Mahadeva. Wow. What is Sanatan Dharma? Let's understand these two words. Sanatana means eternal. Dharma means, not as it is being interpreted today, dharma means the law, that which rules. Sanatana Dharma literally means that framework of principles or laws which rule life eternally. There are certain things which are seasonal there are certain things which are generational, there are certain things which belong to different eras, but there is certain aspect of life which is for always, certain framework, certain laws which are for always. So today, maybe particularly in the political atmosphere, it is being seen as a certain identity. Sanatana means eternal. How can something be eternal unless it's all-inclusive? If something has to be eternal, it has to be all-inclusive, there is simply no other way. This and that cannot be eternal. Only that which embraces everything can be eternal. Many aspects of our lives are transitional, but there are some aspects of our life which are eternal. If you recognize and realize the eternal laws or the Sanatana Dharma of your life, I want you to understand this not as a cultural identity, but as a fundamental to our existence. Those laws, the framework which governs the fundamentals of our existence, this is Sanatana Dharma. A culture which invested heavily in this direction, a culture which made ultimate freedom or liberation or mukti or moksha or nirvana and many other names, which made that the main principle of life, got identified as Sanatana Dharma. That means our fundamental goal is ultimate. On the side we do many things. People have businesses, people have families, people have careers, people have this and that, pleasures, fads and compulsions. All this is sad business. This culture invested itself in such a way, the main fundamental focus of this life is ultimate liberation or moksha. So this culture got the identity of Sanatana Dharma because there are many longings within a human being. When you're a little child, lollipop is the highest longing. As you grow up, it changes. When you are 12, 15, one thing, 18, 20, another thing, 30, 35, another thing. But if you examine your life carefully, if you look at the nature of your desiring very carefully, you will see the longing is to expand. Whatever you have, whatever you may be in your life, you still want to be something more. If that something more happens, you want to be something more. If that happens, you want to be something more. If you really look at it, you want to become limitless. This is the longing that the very nature of how human being is made is such that something within us does not like boundaries. Something within us wants to become boundless. If it finds an unconscious expression, if it finds a very physical expression, we call this sexuality. If it finds a mental expression, it gets labeled as ambition, desire, conquest, or maybe simply shopping. If it finds an emotional expression, we call this love. All these are longings to be something more than what you are right now. If it finds a conscious expression, we call this yoga. So in one way, I know some won't like it, but I'm not standing for election, so so in some ways, what you are recognizing as Sanatana Dharma as a culture is a mass application of yogic sciences. When you want to apply a profound science to a whole population, it needs to go through a certain amount of transformation. So that transformation today generally getting identified as Sanatana Dharma. But the most important aspect is that Sanatana Dharma means you are not caught up with the immediate needs of the day. Your focus is always pitched towards the ultimate goal of life. Day-to-day things you'll handle it to the best of your ability, but that does not determine the quality of your life. The longing that you have to become free, the longing to become one with everything. When you say free, you want to become free from your individual nature. In a way, you want to become free from your own existence so that you become one with everything. That's why I said, nothing can be eternal unless it's all-inclusive. Sanatana Dharma, the only way forward, if you ask me. Not as a religion, not as an individual culture, not your culture versus my culture, but at some point, if human beings don't look beyond their individual and immediate needs and look for the ultimate well-being of who they are and what everything else is around us, well, there'll be no solution. But today, the world is moving in this direction. They may not be calling it Sanatana Dharma, but in many ways the world is moving in this direction. How is it moving? See, one thing that's happening is, nearly 42% of European population these days are saying they have no religion. 32 to 33% of the US population is saying they have no religion. A similar percentage in UK is saying they have no religion. Actually, it is 36 to 37% in UK. So, except in the developed part of the world, largely people are saying no religion. What this means is, the structures that were built up there in the sky, or to put it simply, the heavens are collapsing in people's minds. Nobody wants to go to heaven anymore. I have seen this in the last 40 years. This year is going to be 40 years since I started teaching. So, in these 40 years, what I have seen is, about 20 years ago, at least in the Western societies, if you asked a group of people, how many of you want to go to heaven? 80% of the hands would go up. Today, if you go and ask a group of people, let's say 1,000 people are there, you ask them, how many of you want to go to heaven? Very hesitantly, very shy and embarrassed, 2-3 hands will go up. Rest of them say no. The young people don't want to go to heaven because whatever the old marketing machine which has been telling you what is there in heaven is not attractive to them. They're asking, is there free Wi-Fi? Hello? You want free Wi-Fi in heaven? So because of this, in people's minds, heavens are collapsing. When heavens collapse, what will fill the gap? The immediate gap will be filled by alcohol, drugs and other things, because people are trying to make something out of their life. But they will tire of that. The more intelligent will look beyond that. Those who indulge also will get tired of it after some time, but it'll take its toll, unfortunately. Then what is it? Then people will look for the science of well-being. That is what he stands for. This is why I said, Adiyogi is not of the past, but a phenomenon of the future. Though it was well over 15,000 years ago, what he offered is a scientific, technological solution for the subjectivity of the human being. Not philosophy, not ideology, not belief system, not tickets to heaven, but the science of subjective well-being of… They were not allowed to think, especially ladies. You must appreciate the times because just 100, 200 years ago, you were not supposed to think at all. If you did think for yourself, you would get punishment for that. In this culture, it was not so much so, but in the rest of the world, it was very much so. Women were not supposed to think for themselves. So, women are beginning to think for themselves. What it means is, straight away, 50% of the world's population has come into thinking process. So that's not a small thing. And now that people are thinking for themselves, once you think, however crazy you think somebody is thinking, there is a logical process to their thought process. So now, seeking solutions, even subjective solutions, in a more logically correct way or a scientific manner will naturally come forth. When this happens, Adiyogi becomes super significant because he's already ready with his tools, 112 ways. So, this is Sanatan Dharma as a science. As a culture, it functions differently. We don't have to impose our culture on anybody. But science is not an imposition, science is a solution. So in many ways, the future of the world is in Sanatan Dharma, but don't try to rub it on them saying that you must take up my culture. Not necessary. The important thing is they look for ultimate well-being, not for immediate well-being. That is Sanatan Dharma.
Sadhguru,